Another shooting. 2 people shot at a military base in Maryland yesterday. Have not seen a motive, but I think it's already crystal clear. White supremacy. Obviously, it's got to be white supremacy. That's what it always is.
Really?
It's always that.
Yeah.
It's always.
You know, Pat, I have to say, I follow the news relatively closely. You know, I make sure I keep up to date on what's going on. And I don't know if you remember this, but on January 6th of this year, there was an incident at the Capitol. It was all Trump supporters, white supremacists.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, you remember that, right?
I remember that.
Okay, because I'm not.
Yeah, I remember it.
And then the whole Capitol went into lockdown. Remember this?
Yeah.
And then they built all these big walls and fences around it. And they kept saying that there was going to be these big attacks on the Capitol.
Well, that's why they had to send in the National Guard.
The National Guard. And they were going to keep them there.
Because there was an insurrection that was happening. And I think there was an ongoing insurrection that they were trying to prevent.
Yeah.
And because on March 4th, it was going to be bombed.
It was going to be bombed. And then it was March, I think, 20th. Again, they were going to, there's going to be another incident.
Or something.
And I was, of course, obviously very concerned about this.
Oh, of course.
As anyone would be.
Well, yeah, the white supremacy thing had just gotten so out of control.
And then we had someone attack the Capitol the other day.
Yeah.
They rammed a car into the barrier.
Another damn white supremacist.
And killed a police officer.
I hate these white supremacists.
And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, the white supremacists are back. And then it was a big news story that first day. And then all of a sudden, I haven't heard anything about it since.
Stopped talking about it completely.
What could possibly be the reason for that? Because it was such a big story. The whole, all the attacks that might happen in the future were a big story. But then an attack did happen, and it wasn't a big story.
Right.
Why did that happen?
Right.
What could possibly be the cause of the difference in coverage than what I would have expected? I mean, I would have expected the next attack on the Capitol to be the only thing in the news.
I know.
And it wasn't.
And
in fact, a Capitol police officer died in the attack.
Yes.
And we heard almost nothing about it.
Right.
Why? What could possibly be the reason? There has to be one, Pat. It can't just be happenstance. There must be a cause as to why we didn't hear much about this particular attack.
I agree with you, Stu. I agree with you.
Can you think of what it could be?
I can't think of a single thing that would preclude all of that coverage, though. I can't think of a thing.
Not even one.
Well,
let me throw.
Are you gonna hazard a guess?
Let's just speculate here.
All right.
Let me just throw one guess out there.
Okay, go ahead.
And you tell me if it's just crazy, because it could just be crazy. I want to be honest with you.
All right.
It could just be crazy. What if the attacker in this most recent attack on the Capitol was not a white supremacist, but in fact a nation
white
of
nationalist?
Islam? No.
Oh.
A supporter of the Nation of Islam.
A follower of Farrakhan, as it were.
Would it possibly change in any way?
I can't imagine it would change anything.
Right. It doesn't make much sense, but just to take it to its logical end here.
Yeah.
Is there any chance
it had something to do with that?
Possibly, like maybe they would ignore it because it didn't fit the narrative they were trying to push about evil Republicans and Trump supporters. Is it possible? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. It's unlikely, but is it possible? Can you conceive of such a thing?
Well, since that's exactly what happened, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can. I can.
Wow.
You know, and this shooter at the naval base too, or is it because the guy's name is Fantahun Gurma Waldasenbet? I don't know. I don't know.
You pronounced that as if it was like your own surname.
But does that have something to do with why we're not hearing about this one either?
What's the name again there, Pat? Can we get it again?
Fantahun Gurma Waldasenbet.
Ah, yes, of course.
So
that's
I don't know. I mean, it could be a white supremacist. I don't know.
How could
I don't know.
Was it an attack?
It was.
Then it probably was a white supremacist, as you
almost
know.
had to be. Because they all are. We saw that in tweets.
The largest cause of crime in the United States is white supremacy. It's really the
Yes.
only. It's only the only cause of crime. Because even if like an African American were to kill someone, it's because of the systemic racism they've been victim of, and then that's what caused them to do it.
Who was it that that was actually said this week? It was actually said. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, I thought you were quoting I'm going to have to look in my notes here and find it again. That was actually said.
I was trying to come up with the most ridiculous justification possible.
No, it's so ridiculous. It's actually been said already.
This is where we are.
Even when it's a black person doing it, it's because of the systemic white supremacy involved. I mean, come on. Really?
It must be exhausting for them to come up with these justifications.
Oh.
I mean, the Capitol thing is really fascinating to me. I mean, really, I can understand, like treating it as the normal news story that it may have been. I mean, people do attack the Capitol. It does happen. Usually not white supremacists. The only time they've blown it up into this was this one time.
Right.
I mean, we know that there were activists from the left who set off a bomb inside back in the day.
Oh yeah,
and it was a story, but it wasn't what January 6th turned into. And again, I'm not minimizing that day. That was bad.
No,
but still,
it was. But was it? Do you go along with an insurrection? Because I just don't.
I don't like that verbiage at all.
Ridiculous to call it that.
I think the truth of it is, and we don't need to delve super deep into this, but I think that when you talk about that verbiage, it's like, were there people there actually trying to overthrow the government? Yes, they were talking about it, right? But I think it was a very small percentage of even the people who went inside the building.
And they were really bad at it.
And they were really bad at it, yeah.
Really bad at it.
Right.
If that was their intent, they didn't go about that the right way.
Yeah, no,
fortunately.
That's not, it's not like an insurrection. If you think of even Valkyrie, the movie, right, where they're trying to overthrow Hitler regime, von Stauffenberg, you are, and that was of course Tom Cruise, and who knew that he was that old? But
yeah,
Tom Cruise is out there and he's trying to overthrow the government, and he's basically, it's very difficult to successfully engage in a coup when you don't have the support of the military, let's say, right? These are large-scale operations. There was just a supposed attempt of a coup in Jordan this week. And Jordan, seen as kind of one of the most stable countries in the Middle East. And it was supposedly, the king was basically saying it was a family member trying to take over. It doesn't work without support of the military.
Right.
And, look, this is more of a sort of conspiracy theorist group that was trying to do something crazy. And in addition to that, there were some people who were really just pissed off and did criminal actions involved. There were also people who I think, look, it could have been worse. I don't want to minimize it, but like the idea that it was some like actual coherent attempt at an insurrection and coup is really questionable.
Yeah, it's a stretch.
It's a stretch. I mean, that doesn't mean you don't take it seriously. If Antifa, and believe me, there's plenty of examples of people on the left who are planning and have been caught planning the same types of things, and have gone to federal buildings all over the country and have taken them over and have burned them down and have killed police officers. All these things have happened all over the country. It's just the focus is only on this one thing. And then when we are told the threat is so high to the Capitol and someone goes and kills a police officer at the Capitol, you'd think you'd hear about it more. But then they look at his social media pages, and he's a Nation of Islam supporter.
And then there's no interest whatsoever in propagating
not a minute of it.
That story.
Now, again, you want to talk about a person who's outwardly talked about all sorts of terrible things happening to government officials, Louis Farrakhan, the guy who heads the Nation of Islam.
Big time, yeah.
You can find all sorts of stuff. We've played them on the air. It used to be posted all the time on his social media accounts, and no one would notice.
Yeah.
This guy has said all sorts of terrible things, including, basically admitting to trying to kill people.
God, doesn't it?
I mean, he would deny that, but I mean, it certainly sounded like it to me.
I mean, was this the time when he talked about killing Malcolm X?
Yeah, I love Elijah Muhammad enough that if you attack him, I would kill you. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I'm not a killer, but neither are you. But if somebody attack what you love, each one of you in here would become a killer instantaneously. We don't give a damn about no white man law when you attack what we love.
Yeah. It's interesting. I wonder if it would fit into the guy attacking at the Capitol.
None of your business.
It's none of our business.
What have you got to say about it? Did you teach Malcolm?
No.
Did you make Malcolm? Did you clean up Malcolm?
I didn't.
Did you put Malcolm out before the world?
No.
Was Malcolm your traitor or was he ours? And if we dealt with him like a nation deals with a traitor, what the hell business is it of yours?
Isn't that fascinating? I mean,
Pretty
fascinating.
Basically admitting.
Yeah, that they killed Malcolm X because he was a traitor to their cause.
And it was okay because it was their law, law. Trump.
It's none of your business.
So
no,
now
it's not your business. I don't follow your white law.
Again, he doesn't follow his white law. Like, for example, he doesn't care if he's going to kill a police officer at the Capitol. Right? The guy who follows Louis Farrakhan just did that. A guy who's called for all sorts of overthrows of the government and all sorts of terrible things.
And no one is even blaming Farrakhan for any of that.
Not even a mention.
The guy was obviously a Farrakhan follower, and he's getting no blowback from that at all.
Absolutely no doubt there are more followers of Louis Farrakhan than QAnon.
Oh, my gosh.
Not even close.
Come on.
It's not even close. There's more followers of Louis Farrakhan than any of these militias or any of these groups that are constantly thrown around. And one of his supporters attacks the Capitol. Not a freaking word. Not a freaking word. All they keep saying is, well, we don't know what the motive is. Well, okay. You certainly seemed willing to guess every other time.
Yeah, not now.
Inexplicable.
Not now. There's just no way to tell now.
It's not even worth pointing out the freaking double standard anymore.
Yeah, I know.
It's so obvious to everyone in the audience. I mean, the Ron DeSantis thing we talked about this week, the way they've talked about this Georgia law.
Yeah.
We have lost our attachment to reality.
Completely.